Hi, this is Chandler in the editing booth. Welcome to our 20th episode. Thank you so much for all of your downloads and support of this grand experiment of ours. For this occasion, we thought it'd be a fun treat to unearth one of our very first test episodes. We did this as a proof of concept many months ago. Because of this, you may notice a bit of a different energy and a few technical difficulties. We apologize for that, but the content on this one is so interesting we didn't want to keep it from you any longer. So please enjoy History in Retrograde, Episode 20. Hello there! Welcome to History in Retrograde. This is the podcast where we use the ancient art of astrology to help us better understand the past. I'm your co-host, Chandler O'Quinn, and joining me live via satellite is my mom. Hi, Mom!
Hi, Chandler!
Are you ready to begin another grand experiment?
Sure, let's go ahead.
Let's begin. So the idea behind this podcast is that you, the viewing and listening audience, already know who the historical figure who we're going to talk about is. It's in the title of the episode. I, of course, already know because I selected the historical figure. But Mom has no idea who this historical figure might be. In a moment, I will give her the birth date, time, and location of this historical figure. She will then enter that information into the back computer, and it will spit out the astrological birth chart, where all of the planets, moons, and stars were at the moment that this historical figure was born. She will then give us the best reading that she is capable of course going into it blind, picking out what is the most striking and important information from this chart, telling us all that she can about who this person's personality, motivations might be. And then later on, I will reveal who this historical figure is, give a little bit of background on the person, and we will discuss how accurate this chart is in showing what this person did during their lifetime, and see if this chart can give us any extra glimpses that we might not already know of why certain things happened in history. So, without further ado, I have in my hand this episode's birth date. November 12th, 1934.
Okay, and do you have a time?
4:40 p.m.
Okay, country?
United States.
All right. Birth town?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Is this a male or a female?
It is a male.
Wow. Okay. Alright. I always like the first things that pop up in here. Okay.
So does the wow come from all of the lines on here?
Yeah, the first wow is from all the lines because they create these squares. Sometimes they create triangles, sometimes they create crosses, but this is whatever I see in here is kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's just automatic for me to have an initial reaction to whatever I see when I first see it pop up. So, I mean, as I've told you before, I am absolutely not a professional. I have dabbled for decades in astrology, but I am not a professional. I will say, let's just start here with North Node. I like North Node because that's the direction people are supposed to go. North Node in Aquarius makes you very humanitarian. It's interesting because this is North Node conjunct Moon by degree in the 10th house. So somehow mother or women influence this person's direction to a great deal in their career. It's not necessarily like in the home, which would be like 4th house or 5th house. This is somehow female energy by degree. Do you see how that's both 4 degrees Moon in Aquarius, right. 4 degrees, where am I? 4 degrees North Node in Aquarius, okay, in the 10th house, which is career. Very interesting. Very interesting. Taurus on the 1st house is going to make this person seem very strong.
So you said seem. Does that mean that that's how they outwardly project, but they're not actually strong, or they are actually strong?
It could be either. There is nothing in this house, right? To, like, if Sun was here or something like that, then it would be, stronger. But this person having Taurus on the 1st house will appear strong. They will come across as a strong person, as a determined person, as maybe a stubborn person. Taurus is known for being very stubborn like a bull. So that's on their 1st house. That's how people perceive them. This person could even be a big person, like a large person, but also, Taurus has a lot of really sweet, kind traits as well. So let me keep looking. Pluto in the 4th house would be either very powerful home, very powerful at home, a home that encases a lot of power, or it could be moving all the time, death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth of the home, moving all the time, changing home all the time. Also, Neptune and Mars in Virgo. Wow. Okay. This person is, all that Virgo is very organized and precise. Dealing with, if they were entertaining or they were, all the things that 5th house deals with. 5th house is ruled by Leo, which is children and the entertainment industry, their theater of life. They are almost like driven to be very organized. But the issue with that is that you have this Mars, which is your drive, and then you have this Neptune, which is your kind of dreamy side. So these two, again, conjunct exactly at 14, puts a little bit, it either makes this person very creative in show business industry, gives them an edge of dreaminess to them in how they achieve their goals. And it is by degree, so it is serious conjunction, that Neptune. This person could be a filmmaker. This person could be a very talented performer, because they have that magic. That Neptune is magic next to their Mars that gives them this really amazing magical ability to access their goals. Mars is what you hunt. Mars is what you go for. So they have a very interesting creative ability, almost magician-like, to be able to achieve what they want. Is any of this making sense?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. That's always good to know. Because I'm really in the dark here. Okay. So we'll just move forward with Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Sun. Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Sun all in Scorpio. Well, I just have to say, if this person does not have natural sex appeal, there's a problem, because I can't imagine that anyone with this many planets in Scorpio, especially in the 7th house, would have any issue whatsoever finding a partner, because there is a lot of magnetism here with all that Scorpio. Scorpios are just naturally, I don't know, I just want to say Scorpios just naturally come across hot. And so, I don't know, but this person has a lot of Scorpio in the 7th house, which is partners and partnerships. Sun, Venus, Jupiter. I think this person would be very lucky with the opposite sex and capable of... This person could really manipulate things if they wanted to. Like this Mercury in Scorpio, dark side of Scorpio is amazingly agile at manipulation if they want to. And this would be being able to manipulate work, I guess, because 6th house is ruled by Virgo and health and work. And having that Mercury there in Scorpio sort of, freight training all the rest of the Scorpio. This person could be very, I don't know, I want to say this person could be intoxicating. Like, women could be spellbound by this person. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of power right here. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
All that's very powerful.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And with that Taurus rising, this person could be very handsome and very, very good at whatever they do. All that Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to move on from this person. From that part. Okay, and we're going to go to Saturn in the 11th house. The lessons for this person are... Yeah, the lessons for this person are to move away from all this and actually be a humanitarian. Actually need to either teach humanitarianism or live it and learn it. And with the moon and north node in the 10th house, I believe that all of this goes together as part of their career. It's very humanitarian. There needs to be a humanitarian aspect to this, where this person vacillates between being this Greek god and then trying to save the world. So that's very interesting. Although this person does have Uranus and Aries in the 12th house. So 12th house is karma. So unexpected karma. Unexpected. And in Aries, it's going to be intense. Like, this karma that they experience is not mild. It is explosive, like an unexpected explosion kind of karma. Yeah. And then there's lessons involving money here. and values. Let's go. Do you have any questions? And am I doing okay?
Are there any? Are there any other first glances? It looks like you've gone all the way around the circle.
Mm-hmm.
So before I get into the questions that I have, is there anything else, just from looking at it, anything else you think you can share?
Well, I think that having their midheaven in Capricorn would make them more conservative in their career. They wouldn't be like necessarily riding off on a horse and attacking things. This is, to me, more of a person who uses their mind and their abilities to acquire what they want. And they're very good at it. Naturally, it just comes natural. It's like all this right here is supernatural charisma, charm, elegance, liking elegant things, liking women, and being very lucky and all that, because Jupiter is connecting to all of that. So, I mean, if you have questions, I can answer those.
I'll ask a few of my questions here.
Okay.
How would this person respond to authority?
Honestly, I don't think this person recognizes authority. I don't think that this person seriously considers authority, because I feel that this person might think they're going to get away with whatever they want. Does that make sense?
Yes. What about rules and laws? Is this a person who is going to go by the book, even if it gets in the way of what they want, or not so much?
Well, I have to say, it could go either way with this person. This person could have real values, but then the dark side could interfere with that. I've never known a Scorpio with this much Scorpio to have any other thought other than they're going to do what they want. And, there are rules and there are protocols and there are things. And this area here in Aquarius makes me believe that this person does have this aspect to them, that they could be, very, concerned with laws and abiding by them. But this other side over here kind of tells me this person I feel could get away with anything, and it would look like they didn't do anything wrong.
What is this? Can you tell anything about what this person's relationship with honesty would be?
Here's the thing. I've never known any person with this much Scorpio to not feel that whatever they're saying is honest. Like, if I'm telling you this, I mean it. This person has loopholes in honesty. Now, they do have they could really go this direction and be very North Node in Aquarius and very, like, my mom told me not to lie and I need to make sure I save the world and all this, but I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, and there's nobody who's going to get in the way of that. This is a very powerful person.
And how would this person wield this power? Is this a benevolent person?
I don't know. Okay. Could be. It could be very, very, very benevolent. Meaning,
what I'm getting a sense of is that there's a conflict. There's a good side and a bad side, and so when I ask these questions, it's almost like you have to give what the what the 6th and 7th house part is pulling them towards, and what the 11th and 10th house part is pulling them towards. Is that does that make sense?
It does, because here's the thing. I will say all the Scorpios I've ever known are extremely benevolent. Okay. They are willing to take you to lavish meals. They will take you on lavish trips. They will give you jewelry. I mean, they can be extremely benevolent. Okay. And they can be benevolent without a reason. Maybe. But usually people that have this much Scorpio, they always have a reason. And it doesn't change how benevolent they were. All right? But if I looked at this person's chart, I would not date them. I'd be like, no.
I think that's going to pay off in the end.
So, yeah. I mean, if I looked at this person's chart, I'd be like, I think there's too much going on here. But, other people might be totally into that. But I do think that there is a very, very, very humanitarian side to this person. And either their mother or other women were very influential in their career. And they're very powerful. And very creative. Maybe very, very, very talented.
And I think this next question is also going to be dark side, light side. You'll have to give an answer for each one. But would this person want to be in a very strict structured environment? Or would they prefer to be in a more creative, open environment?
This person is going to be in whatever environment they choose. They're going to do what they're going to do. Only. That's all they're going to do. This is not a person that can be controlled. From my perspective. They could be... I would not ever imagine that you could tame this person. But I don't know. I mean, I could be way off base here, but they have their own demons here. But I mean, for me, if I was looking at this chart, as far as like, if I was an agent and I was going to choose something based on a chart, I would hire this person. I would want to represent this person because I'd want to see what they're going to do.
So you're talking about in an entertainment industry setting. Yeah.
I would definitely.
So the creative parts of this person, the charismatic parts of this person, would from this chart lead you to believe that this would be a very successful person in the entertainment
and
industry.
Very, very, very appealing to the opposite sex. Very appealing.
So does this person like the attention?
Oh, yeah, I think they like it. I mean, they could
so that this is not a shy person.
I couldn't imagine that this person would be shy. If this person is shy, I don't know, though, because, see, that Taurus rising might make them a little shy, but I don't think so, because they could just full on go in like a bull in a china closet. They could just tear it up. I personally would not think this person was shy.
Okay.
By looking at their chart, I wouldn't. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I would not think that. And women.
Is there anything else in the chart from your initial reading that you see here that you can think of?
Well, I mean, whenever you see any of all of these different things going on in the chart, it's a very dynamic person. This is very dynamic. But as opposed to the last one that we did, where a lot of stuff was just in this quadrant, this person is more well-rounded. This person is not so maybe uptight. This person is more, I guess, not so stressed, maybe.
I think there are very interesting thing. I have the way that I'm taking these notes is I have a column on all of the things that seem pretty accurate, and there is another column where there's a few things that don't quite make sense with this person. And it's interesting that you could say in the same sentence that they were well-rounded and not uptight, which is well-rounded is definitely in the not doesn't quite make sense column, but the not uptight part definitely goes in the column that makes sense.
I just mean they're versatile. They're not so like laser beam focused on only one thing. Like they could use these talents to do a lot of different things. I guess that's what I mean.
Okay. So do you want to take another look back at the chart?
Okay.
I'll summarize the points that you've made about the chart, and then I will reveal if you're ready.
Okay.
So, to summarize, mother and women are important to the career.
Mm-hmm.
Appear strong, determined, some might say stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
There's a constant death and rebirth of the home.
Mm-hmm.
Organized, creative. There is a magic about this person. It might appear to be like a magician. There is a magnetism. He might be manipulative, but there's another part that pulls him to being a teacher. There is an unexpected karma that might be explosive. He uses his mind to achieve what he wants. Doesn't recognize authority. There is a dark side, light side conflict. There might be a tendency to exploit loopholes with honesty. Nobody is going to get in his way. Can't be controlled, can't be tamed. Women are very important. Not uptight and very sensual. There are a few things that I think might not bear out completely. That is the humanitarianism, the sweetness, the kindness, the handsome part, the elegance, and the realist. But I think that as we look into this person's life, we'll see that all these other things, there are things that could have been. There are things that this person could have achieved had other things not happened in their life. And I think that will bear out some of the things that don't quite make sense. At this time, are you ready?
Well, I just want to say one more thing before you move on. Normally, when you deal with Aquarians, you deal with the light side of Aquarians, the humanitarian side, the side that wants the world to be perfect. But the dark side of Aquarius is pure control. Absolute. There is no doubt. Control. Control over humanity, how humanity works. In this situation, it could be control over women. That's the dark side of Aquarius, which people don't normally associate with Aquarius, that level of control. So I don't know if that fits with this, but if this person is working with that, if they're working with that dark side of Aquarius and this kind of Scorpio, holy cow. That
control over women, control over humanity is also, that's the flip side of that humanitarian.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready to find out whose chart you're looking at?
Okay.
This is the astrological birth chart of Charles Manson.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy cow.
Charles
That
Manson
just gave me chills.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Oh, no wonder he could convince people to do things. Yeah, did you hear me go? Yeah, I wouldn't date this guy.
Yep. Yeah, that would work out in your favor.
Oh man.
Charles Manson was born November 12th, 1934 in Cincinnati General Hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio. His mother was a 16-year-old prostitute. At the age of 5, when Charles was 5, his mother was sentenced to 5 years in prison for assault and robbery. Manson then went to live with his grandparents in West Virginia. They were a very strict religious family, and Charles did not very much appreciate the strict religious nature and trying to upbring him, but he did enjoy singing in the church. After his mother was released, they moved to Indiana. He was a constant troublemaker, and she would later take Charles to a reform school. He would escape. He would commit more crimes. His mother would take him back to the school. He would escape, commit more crimes, petty theft, robbery, stealing cars, driving it across state lines. By 1949, he was sent to the famous Boys Town. He escaped 4 days later. He was then sent to the Indiana Boys School. This cycle continued. Eventually, he was placed in the National Training School for Boys in Washington, D.C. There, he was given an aptitude test, which determined he was illiterate, but had an IQ of 109. This constant in and out of prison would continue throughout the 1950s. In 1959, he was given a 10-year sentence for forging a $40 treasury check. He served from 1960 to 1967. During this time, he learned how to play the guitar from Alvin Creepy Carpice, who was one of Al Capone's associates. Charles Manson was released from prison in the spring of 1967. So the story goes, he actually pleaded with the warden to not be released from prison. He wanted to stay in prison. He did not think that he was capable of being in the outside world. He had spent 22 of his 33 years of life in some sort of juvenile hall or prison. But he was released, and in March of 1967, he first headed to Berkeley and then went to the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco. This was during the famous Summer of Love. During this time, Manson started experimenting with hallucinogenic drugs, LSD, and he started to synthesize all of his life experiences into his own weird philosophy. His strict religious upbringing, he took a positive thinking course in prison. He also was exposed to Scientology while in prison and read Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land. He took all of these different influences and he warped them into his own philosophy, or at least was capable of enough of explaining these ideas to drugged out hippies to get them to follow him. he quickly started to gain a following. He was adept at manipulating young women into believing and following him. These young women would eventually become the Manson family, and there were a few other men involved in there too, but mostly women. He was very adept at appearing like a hippie, but in all honesty, he wanted complete power and submission to him. He wanted to expand his influence through his music. He eventually got connections through Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, who lived at 10050 Cielo Drive. Dennis Wilson picked up some of the Manson family girls hitchhiking. They then lived with him, and then Charles Manson moved in and lived with him. And through this, Dennis Wilson got Manson introduced to some people in the entertainment industry. They chose not to record Manson's music. They clearly did not see Manson's chart. It showed that he had a charisma and creative abilities. He would have been great, but they did not choose to sign him to a contract. As the 68 turned into 1969, Manson started to feel that his influence over these women and the people in the Manson family was dwindling. And the last thing that Manson had left was to trigger what he thought was called Helter Skelter. He believed that in the Beatles' lyrics of Helter Skelter, or at least this is what he told everyone, that those predicted a race war between blacks and whites, and he thought that the blacks would win the war, but would not be capable of leading the world by themselves, and the Manson family would come out of hiding and lead a new world order. So in August of 1969, Manson sent Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Linda Kerbazian, and Patricia Greenwinkle to 10050 Cielo Drive. According to Manson, all he told them was to do something witchy. What they did was commit one of the most horrific murders of the 20th century. The next day, he sent more of the Manson family members to the La Bianca house, again committing horrible murders. Eventually, by 1970, Manson and the whole family was caught and put on a very public trial where they learned all about all the manipulation and all the things that Manson did. But the thing that everyone remembers is that Manson didn't actually commit anything. He didn't, at least he did not physically touch any of these people. He got others to do his bidding. Where Manson fits into the major historical themes of the 20th century, of course, there is the lack of mental health awareness at the time, the negative effects of 1950s prosperity. A lot of these women who were coming out of homes where parents did not talk to them about either mental health issues, bad things going on in the house, a lot of divorced parents not sharing their thoughts and feelings with these young women, and the idea that everything is so great that you're not allowed to feel bad. Well, that led to women who had very low self-esteem, and Manson was very able to manipulate them to do his bidding. Of course, the dark side of the 1960s, where all of this peace and love got turned into violence, and really set up the 1970s as a time of crime, fear, distrust, paranoia. A lot of people point to the Manson murders as being the death of the 1960s. So that is Charles Manson. That is the chart that we've been looking at. I think a lot of these things that you've pointed out fit in very well. The mother, women, important, death and rebirth of the home. The idea, he was in and out of all kinds of situations and did not have a very stable childhood. getting others to using his mind to achieve what he wants. Again, not lifting a finger to do those horrible things to Sharon Tate and the other people, getting others to do that for him. Doesn't recognize authority. But there's a dark side, light side conflict. If you actually listen to some of the songs that he recorded, they're not about all of this dark stuff. That there is a peace and love and hippie stuff that he wanted, or at least was saying in these songs. Had he had a better childhood, had circumstances been different, it's possible he could have been a very popular and well-known singer in the 60s, but things did not quite work out that way.
That is extremely unfortunate, because this person could have been a very light, very good influence on the world. I mean, this person could have had the ability to be a very good influence on the world. And clearly, I mean, I've heard some in-depth background on Charles Manson, and I know how horrible his mother was. And I'm sure that was a great influence on everything, and how, she did not want him. She tried to give him away, I think, for a pitcher of beer. And
That's
at one
correct.
point she did. So, I mean, I can see how all of that got twisted, but I mean, the amount of power that he had to do what he did as it was it's almost supernatural. I mean, it's very rare that there's a person who can influence others to that extent. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know they were all on drugs and stuff, but I know that there's a lot of people in the world that have done drugs and did drugs then, but they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. So whatever happened, and I do know that he saw himself as like a god, like he was all powerful. And so that is a very dark side to that Aquarius, which is sad, because the flip side of that is so good. It's very unfortunate. It's quite the example of, darkness. And that's sad, because he really could have been a great star. I mean, he had things that could have, really propelled him to real stardom. But I think he was cut off at the knees at birth. It just wasn't ever going to happen that way.
Well, is there any other insights, anything that now that you know who it is, that makes more sense to you now?
Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense, knowing that that's who he is. And then, coming around the bend and going, but wait a minute, the other side of that Aquarian humanitarianism is pure control, absolute control. And so, yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Yep.
Well, I think on our scale of right on the money to way out in outer space, I think that this is another one right on the money. This really explains who this man is, who Charles Manson was. I think that it was all. It's all there in the stars, and it could have gone either way, but because of the circumstances he was born into, it happened to be all the combination of his chart and the circumstances he was born into led to him becoming one of the worst, most evil people of the 20th century.
Yeah, and he had the power to do it. He could have gone either way with his power, but he was just basically kicked to the dark side. Literally kicked to the dark side. So that's the way that goes. But Grand Square, all this stuff going on in here, that's a lot. And other people who are actual professional astrologers can go way far in depth with this, but I'm just giving you what I know.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, this all. I think it helps. I think it helps historians. I think it helps people understand who people are. It's the same as consulting a psychology, a psychiatric exam of the person. It goes just the same. You can't take anything for gospel, but this, really. I mean, the fact that you got all of those things out of where these stars and planets were, and that it is so accurate. It's so true to who that man was.
Yeah, it's right there. I can only tell you what I see, and I'm, at this level, but I definitely I wouldn't have wanted to date that guy. Because it's so funny, because looking at this right here is like, I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't answer to anybody. This guy he figured he could talk his way out of anything. And I mean, he sure could talk. He talked a lot.
That pretty much wraps it up for this edition of History in Retrograde. I'd like to remind all of our listening, viewing audience to please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. If you're on Apple Podcasts, I mean, this show's all about stars, so please give us 4 stars. Give us a comment. You can reach out and email us at historyinretrograde@gmail.com. And until next time, if all your houses are in order and the stars are aligned, everything's going to be just fine.
And thank you for listening, and thank you for being with us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Salal Creek Studio.